Welcome to my channel where I do a live tutorial. So for those who don't know me, I do a live tutorial every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, some are techniques that I use right now, which are I do a lot of carving, altering clay, um, and do a lot of work with porcelain. And then some are techniques that I've taken workshops along the way that I've learned, but I don't necessarily use them now in my work. But I like to share just because I feel that for beginners, especially, they I recommend for you to take as many workshops as you can until you find the thing that really that you really like. So that's why I try these tutorials on Saturdays. That way you guys can ask me questions. I've been doing this for 14 years now. Oh, Amy. Hi, Amy. I just saw Savage and I wasn't sure who that was. So hi, Amy. Lisa, April, thank you for being here with me. So today I thought I would show you guys a little bit of carving. And I do recommend you to have the good tools for carving. But if you're a beginner, I will show you here a few tools that I use that can be just a beginner tool. Like I love my diamond core tools, and I know they're a little pricey, but if you try with the other tools that I'm going to show, the more inexpensive tools, and you feel that that's really something that you want to invest and that you really like it, like I do. So I invested on the diamond core tools, but I started out with the loop tools, and I'll show you. And then we'll talk a little bit about so the different types of carving. I'll give you some tips as I work on my piece here that I have in front of me. I'll show you, which is the picture that was on the cover. And we'll talk about that, how I add, because that's my thing. I like adding 3D elements to my functional pieces. That's the key thing here. People think that the pieces that I make are non-functional, but they are. Even my mugs, the sculptural mugs, all of those are dishwasher safe, microwave safe. I make sure they're really attached well. They're hollow pieces, but they can go in the microwave. Now, I recommend hand washing just because it's something that is more fragile, but they can go. I've had my own pieces that I test on the day-to-day usage. So I try to make things that are completely functional. So let's just get to it. Oh, and let me just go ahead and get my announcements out of the way, because I know I mentioned that last time. I just didn't want to have it all in one video. I have two announcements that I'm very excited about. So the first one is something that I've been trying to do for years now, and I finally decided on doing it now because I've been getting so many requests over the years, and more so now, for having online classes. Like, would be just like my workshops that I have right now, my hands-on in-person workshops. And I finally decided to do it. And in fact, that I've been recording them now. And my goal is to have these online classes done by the end of October. So they will be in different modules. So it will be a complete class that will feel like if you were here with me. From the very beginning, I will show you everything. Like, I'll even give some of my designs that I use. It will be like from even when I transfer things into a piece. If it is an altering class, I'll show you how I throw. So it will be from the very beginning all the way to finish, to the finished product. And so before, I always thought I didn't have the right equipment to produce nice professional videos for the online classes, but now I do. And hopefully I'll be done by October. So I know a lot of you guys have requested that. Some people that live far away on the West Coast wouldn't want to come to my classes here. I live in Winder, Georgia, so it's quite the distance. So finally, I'm going to offer that. And so because of that, I will not have my workshop this fall like I thought I would, that I had announced it, that I was going to have it. But because of that, I won't have it this fall. It will be postponed until spring of 2026. And also another one is that I'm having a in-person class at a convention in Las Vegas, January 16th through the 18th. So for all those that live maybe on the West Coast that would like to go to that class, it's the International Association of Ceramics. So I'll be teaching Cuerda Seca technique at that convention. So I'm very excited. I'm going to be in I'm going to be giving two separate classes on the same day. And I don't know which day is a Saturday, if it is the 16th or it might be the 17th, but I will put the link on my description and on the comments here. After this is, if you watch the replay, I'll make sure the link is there if you want to register for that. So anyways, those are my two announcements. So the online classes and the in-person class at the International Association of Ceramics, you have to register. And that will be January 16th through the 18th at the Orleans Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. So very excited about that. So that's all I had, and let's jump to the class. So let me just remove myself here. Oops. Let me do just a few things here. And so, okay. So I might have to zoom in a little more here. If you guys bear with me here. I just want to have an example here first of what I'm doing with this piece. So I just wanted to do a simple design of this butterfly, and this is just a slab. It might be a little harder to see because the clay is dark. This is actually the clay that I'm using right now is Terra Red by Aardvark clay, and this is a very smooth, almost like porcelain but red. So let's see, I don't know why I have two things here. Hold on just a second. Trying to make this thing go away here. There you go. So, why is this thing not going away? There you go. All right, so this piece here, I just put a simple design, and let's do some tests and let's talk about some tools that I use. So first I want to show you some of the simple carving tools. This is just one of those tools that you can buy even from Amazon. I'll try to put a link here also for these tools. This is a Kemper loop tool. More inexpensive, that I believe you can get similar results as the nice diamond core tools for relief carving and regular carving. They have the best carving tools in my opinion. But if you wanted to start testing it out, I recommend you start with a flat piece and the key for, let's say, relief carving first. Let's talk about that. The key for relief carving is to give the illusion that your drawing is in relief. So it's not just making lines, carving lines to a design. That's not relief carving. So a lot of people ask me, I'm going to try to answer a lot of the questions that I get when I'm doing my relief carving. A lot of people think after they see it all done that I carved everywhere. But you don't do that, because the idea is you carve around the piece and then you smooth out the area that is not your design to give you that illusion that your design is like protruding out of the surface. So it's all about that illusion. So let's go with this first, and then we can compare the other tools. So again, this is, let me see if I can show a little better what this tool is. If you can see, it's just kind of flat. And I believe they even have some that are a little bit slanted. But the idea is you carve around, creating that, that illusion. So my design is here. I did a black underglaze design around the outline so that you could see a little better on this clay. So you can go a little deeper here. Let me know if you would like to see a little bit closer. Oh, hi, Adrian. I'm glad you're here. Again, this clay might be a little bit harder to see. Let me see if I can hold it. Yeah, because it's a dark clay. But the idea, you create that kind of like a ramp. If I guess that's the description, I guess, if I would describe how this works, is there is a ramp here that goes all the way to your design, and then here's your design, and then the design protrudes out, and it looks like you carved the whole thing except for your design, and that's not it. So let's go around. Again, I'm using the very inexpensive tools, the loop tools that you can buy pretty much anywhere. And the ideal time to do carving, especially relief carving, is when the piece is a leather hard stage. Right now, this one is just a little bit before leather hard, so it's a little bit wet still, but it's not sticking. So what you don't want is for to be before leather hard that is still sticking. Otherwise, you don't get it smooth. You're gonna get like all those drag lines when you try to carve it. So for everything, there is a timing that is, it has to be the right timing to do it, the right stage of the clay, I should say it. So you see how, then you can go even deeper and make drawing your design protrude even more. So you keep doing that until, just keep in mind the thickness of the clay. So this one is still pretty thick. I think it's just shy of a 1/4 of an inch. So I can actually go pretty deep with this. So another thing is, when you're doing, let's say, on a cup, it's a little harder, right? So that's why I'm saying you start with something flat to practice. Practice your relief carving on a tile, or something like this that you can even use as a coaster later. Try it on that. But when you do it on a cup, it depends on the thickness of your cup. So I throw very thin because I'm used to throwing with porcelain. It's about 1/8 of an inch. So I don't have much to carve, you know, otherwise I will be going through the clay. When that happens, what I do many times is I add clay. I add it, and then let's say the next day, so I add the clay when it's right before leather hard. I add, you know, let's say if I wanted this to protrude out a little bit, I'm going to add more clay here, add more clay here to look like this wing of the butterfly is above this one. So I add a little bit more clay and then let it sit for a day. And then the next day, I will go ahead and carve so that I do have more material to show that it is in relief. So that's something that I'm mindful of that. So now let's do it with this carving tool. So Diamond Core has 2 carving tools that I really like, and I'll show you here the difference. You see, this one here is a straight slant, you see it, and is a P27. And then this one here is a P28 and is a little bit rounded. They're both relief carving tools. You can see here the difference. I like both. This one can go a little deeper just because it's rounded. So let's go with the flat one here. So now I want this this wing to look like it's above that one. So I'm going to carve right here. It's just like if you're doing a flower with different petals, one on top of the other. You will want to do the same thing. Same concept. So you're making that ramp up to your design. So you're on a almost like a 45-degree or it can vary from a 45-degree angle to maybe a 60-degree angle on your tool. But what's nice about this is that it's already angled. So when you do this, as you guys can see, it goes in already at the right angle. And then I go even more, so just to smooth out that transition. So what you don't want to do is have like a separation of line showing where your ramp starts and where it goes down. So you want to ease into the rest like that, so it doesn't show that transition. So then your design really starts to pop up and people are going to think, oh, you carved the whole thing and you left that design. And no, that's not what I've done. So here I am. It's a little bit tricky to do the curvy lines like this one. It goes like, it has some curves. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of that dragging that I mentioned about when the clay is not completely leather hard, just slightly, but not too bad in here. And so then, let me see, this wing, this one, no, I think this one is part of this wing here. So I don't want to make that. The only one that I want to make that looks over is that one there on the back. So there. Okay, so thank you, Amy. Let me see if I can bring it closer. Hold on just a second. I think this is as close as I can get. You guys can see that. You see that right here, that ramp I was talking about. And then you continue with that ramp here. And then the final thing I do, so keep in mind it should be just a little drier than what I have right now. So I just made this slab last night, so it really didn't get time to be leather hard. And I had a cover because I thought if I dried too fast it was gonna warp. So it should really be completely leather hard and you won't have any problems carving. This clay is very smooth, so try to choose a clay that has no grog on it, that is smooth. Like I said, this is almost like porcelain but being red. And so you continue to go around your drawing here. Again, this tool already have that angle, but you saw that I could achieve the same thing with the other tool. It's just that this, it carves a little nicer. If you really like carving, I would recommend, it's worth investing on diamond core. But if you're gonna practice to see if you like it, don't, just use the more inexpensive tools. That's how I started, and that's with everything. Until you know you really like a technique, don't put too much money at once into something that you don't know. So pretty much is the outline of the drawing that you put on is what you want to have it protruding. So here we put our butterfly into relief. I am gonna do more videos, and I can't do it on live. I am gonna just put out more videos on relief carving because I'm getting ready to do a lamp. I think I don't know if you guys saw some of my porcelain that I used that is translucent. I bought that base that is an LED light, is for a lamp. So I am gonna do a lamp that is all relief carved, and I'm gonna do a video for you guys to see the whole process being done. And at some points I will have to speed up. So that kind of video is better to do with as a video and not as a live, so you guys can see a little better. So now my whole design is in relief. And the last thing I do here is you start smoothing out that transition. So you can go with a sponge or with your fingers just to make that disappear. So your transition becomes very nice, like you can see that. And then when you look at something, it's gonna look like you carve your whole piece except for your designs. But that is the trick. And then let's say for these other details in the middle, then you can do use a fine point from Diamond Core Tools. I love this tool here, is FP2. They also have another one that is maybe an FP1. So I use both for fine details. Or the other option would be, again, for the more inexpensive tools. This is a very nice camper. Let's see if I can see the number here. I don't see the number. Anyways, a camper tool that it comes to a loop, and then all you do with this one, you're just carving a line around your design. So that is not relief carving, okay? That's just carving. You're just carving lines, just like if you would do like sgraffito, or if you were gonna do Mishima. You're just carving lines. So that is the difference between just carving lines and relief. So here I can do the lines here. And then I'm taking out the lines that I put in black that was there. I think it would help, but I think the other video would probably be better to see because it would be in porcelain and it would be a regular video, not a live. So maybe I can capture here what I've done and to show you guys the difference. You can even put some lines here, you know. So you guys can try this out. Try with a flower. That's really fun to do, to create that, like maybe a rose, let's say. You can have that superimposed petals that one will be on top of the other. You can definitely create that with relief. I love doing that with relief carving. So it really shows. So anyways, that's just a quick demo on this piece. Now, for the other piece that I've been working on, let me bring it closer to you. So this is the piece here that I started yesterday. Actually, it was a couple days before yesterday, and I added the bird. So now for this one, for you guys to see a little better, I might have to bring it higher a little bit. Let's see. Because it's a bigger piece. So let's see. You see how it's kind of squarish? So all I did with this one, which became kind of like a happy accident, I started out, I threw a round bowl on the wheel, and what happened is I knew that my bottom was too thin and it was a wide bottom. So what happens sometimes is when you go to wire your piece, and I was afraid of that because I've done it before, I went through the bottom. So I cut the bottom off and altered, you know, which I like doing that, altering clay, where you can make, just like if I would have done it intentionally, I would have thrown the piece without the bottom already, and just after I cut it off from the bat, I just adjusted for whatever shape I want to, and then you just put a slab of clay on the bottom. So this is what the bottom looks like. It became oval. This is the slab part, and I put a coil around here. And you can certainly do that with hand building. So I like it even more than if it was round. But I've done these many times where I use the bird as a handle. So instead of a little handle here, when you pick up this, because it is a functional piece, you pick up the birds are almost like a little handle. And because of that, I want to make sure it's really well attached in here. So let's talk about this. What I was going for is to make this look like a branch, where some people would do like a coil and then you just carve. So all I was doing here, and I would show you, not this tool. Let me see. What is the tool that I was using? Is the fine detail one. Is this one here? Oh, not this one. Oh, it's my this one. That's the fine point. And all I was going for is doing kind of lines, kind of squiggly lines to look like a branch. And I didn't put a coil on this because what I've done is when I was throwing this piece, I did what they call it, when you wrap your rim around and then it becomes hollow inside. So you can actually make something thin and then fold over your rim, and it looks like really thick rim, but it's actually hollow. So I need to be careful of how deep I want this cut. So I don't want to cut it through It would actually be a neat thing to carve and look through the rim if it is hollow, but that's not what I wanted for this piece because the glazing, I didn't want it to get inside the rim, you know. So I don't want to go too far with these. So all I'm doing is carving around, as you can see here. And then here, what I've done here is make like little branches for the leaves. And then I might add some more here. I'm not sure yet. I think I'm gonna do it here on this side because it's the two sides that I kind of pushed together in the middle, and then do another one here with these fruits. And then the birds will go here. I debated to put the fruits here. I tried that. That didn't look that good with the bird. And then I decided to go here because what I did is each side I kind of squeezed a little bit towards the center. Same thing here. So it became this shape. So you see that it's pushed a little bit here. It's kind of like a squarish shape. And later on, I'm just gonna add little branches to look like this is a branch just with smaller branches kind of going around. I might add some leaves. But one thing I wanted to also show before we finish here is, so as you know, I do make a lot of birds. In fact, my last, wasn't the last one, was the one about the ocarinas that I made, that they were birds. That's all this is. So if you watch that video, you can make a bird like this. It is completely hollow. But I was talking about attachments. So in order to make something that is really good, that you feel comfortable about having this used as a handle, is how well your attachment's gonna be. So I establish my middle point here where the bird is gonna go, and I make sure I roll it like this so it creates an indent in here. So there's a lot of things to think about, and attention to detail, I guess, pays off on the long run because you get a good attachment, you feel good about your pieces, that things won't just fall off or crack and stuff like that. So anyways, you see that indent? That's exactly where I want it. I'm not going to open completely, but I do want that indent because it creates more attachment area for that bird. And then I'll go ahead and attach it so you guys see. I use this little tool that is like a wire tool. And so it's going from here all the way here on the bird. So I'm giving more area for the attachment. And then I want to do the same thing here. I don't use slip because it's still on the soft side. If the clay was a little bit more dry than this, then I would make a slip. But whenever I use this, it creates a slip right here. And so now I make sure that that's really, you give it a nice wiggle to make sure it's really there. It's really well attached. Then I clean up that excess slip that comes off. It squeezes out of the bottom. And I am gonna put a coil. So if I wasn't using this as a handle, I probably could get away from just attaching it the way it is. It's hard to show you guys here, but you get what I'm doing here. I'm just putting the coil right at the attachments. and then I blend in with the bird, so it looks like that was part of the bird and part of the branch. And I am gonna do that also on the back. Doesn't have to be a huge coil, just something like this that I am gonna blend in later on. But just for this purpose here, so you guys know what I do to make sure that I feel confident that this is not gonna fall off. Also, this piece came out pretty light because it is a thin slab, and a thin slab on the, not too thin. I made it 1/4 of an inch, but you know, so I would say it's a little bit short of 1/4 of an inch, the base. So it's pretty light considering that I have the sculpted pieces still attached. But that's what makes it nice, is I don't want something super heavy. So, oh, you know what? I forgot to put the eyes. All I do is I use the other end of this tool to make the eye of the bird, and I make a little go kind of around like this. And then the glaze will get in there. And I have to do the other side. Another thing, I made these little fruits. They're from Brazil. I looked up some, let me show you here real quick. And the reason why I chose this fruit was mainly because of the color, because I want something colorful. Let's see if you guys can see. So this is a funny name. This fruit is called siriguela. It's from the northeast part of Brazil. So Brazil has so many fruits that I guess it's my inspiration for things from Brazil. So I chosen this fruit here, and that's where you see this little thing here is completely hollow also. So just pinch pots. All this is you create 2 pieces, put them together, pinch pots. I have a lot of tutorials that I show. A lot of my pieces come from this shape. Even my bird, I start with kind of like an oval, like an egg. And then you start attaching pieces. So this is an easy one because that's all this is. And then I add the little branch. And I would place that one on the opposite side, like right here. And I'm gonna add the little leaves. So this video is going too long, so I'm sorry about that. But it's going to look similar to this side here. So I hope I gave you guys enough here. And like I said, it's hard to show everything on a live, but I will be doing video and not live to show more of the carving technique. Another technique that some people have asked me to do, which I am gonna do as a video, maybe not as a live, is showing you guys how I throw with porcelain and what I do to avoid cracks. Because I know a lot of people have problems with frost, the porcelain that is beautiful. And because I've been working with for so long, oh, I guess I don't know now where my face is here on the thing. I think I've lost it. But anyways, I will be showing you how to work with porcelain to avoid the issues. So I'm going to show you all my tricks that I hardly have anymore, any cracks or cracks, surface cracks, or anything like that, any issues that comes with porcelain. So that will be coming up next. And let me see if I missed anything. If you guys have any questions. Anyways, thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe, share. I appreciate you being here with me. And sorry about this software. I'm still going through the pains of learning, believe it or not. But every time I try to do something different, then I run into problem. But I will get there. Thanks for being patient with me, and I appreciate you.